Hello, everyone. Professor Cynic here. Today, I want to chat about the newest addition to the Apex character stable, Wattson. She is the sparky French, or at least French speaking, gal who had a hand in creating the ring in the arena. And the question I want to explore today is Wattson a viable character? Is she someone that should be taking a slot up in your roster? First, let's do a quick overview of her abilities. Wattson's tactical ability is perimeter security. This allows her to lay down fence posts, which connect to create an electrical barrier. She gets 4 of these posts off the bat, and once the tactical recharges, she can lay down a total of 12 fence posts. If an enemy passes through one of the barriers, it does a small amount of damage, temporarily slows them, and Wattson gives an audio call out that someone has passed through the barrier. Her ultimate ability is Interception Pylon. Laying this down creates an AoE that has a couple of functions. One, it acts as a trophy system for projectiles, so this includes all throwables like hand grenades, as well as protection from Gibraltar and Bangalore airstrikes. It also provides a slow recharge to your team's shields while in the pylon zone. Her passive is Spark of Genius, which is a really interesting one. Usually, when you use an ultimate accelerant with any other character, it gives you a 20% bump on the charge of your ultimate ability. However, with Wattson, using an accelerant instantly gives a full charge to her ultimate, allowing an instant throwdown of an interception pylon. I've had some time to play as Wattson since the Apex Season 2 kickoff, and I've come up with a couple of points of discussion. Let's go down the list and talk about the perimeter security first. One of the things I noticed about the fence posts is just how clunky it is to lay them down. In order to lay down a fence post, on the Xbox anyway, that's the platform I play on, you need to hit the tactical bumper to open up the ability. Once this is open, you need to aim where you want the post to go, and then pull a trigger to lay one down. I'm sure it's something I'd get used to, but on the initial first few games I played with her, I found myself really struggling to build that muscle memory to quickly build fences, which is really, really important in a fast-paced game like Apex. I found it really difficult to sprint away from an enemy to get into a building and quickly build a fence for protection because I was struggling with the flat-out clumsiness of building fences. Look at another character who has traps, like Caustic. His gas canisters take a simple tap of the tactical button in order to throw. With Wattson, you need to use 2 buttons to lay a fence post, and then a third to cancel out of the fence building mode. I realize this isn't an elegant one-to-one comparison because you don't need to connect Caustic's canisters, but I think a much better solution would be to tap on the bumper to open up the fence menu, tap on the same bumper again to confirm a placement, and then hit Y to exit fence building. There! Easy peasy. This would make fence building much quicker, which, again, is oh so important in Apex. Speed is everything. As far as the usefulness of the fences in general, I don't think they are. I just don't think they are, if I'm being totally honest here. Here's the problem. 1, the fences act as a bright, glowing beacon to let other teams know where you're hulling up with Wattson. These things are bright and stick out like a neon light at a monastery. So if you're trying to hold down the fort inconspicuously, you probably aren't going to do it with Wattson. Second issue. These fence posts are incredibly easy to disable. Much like Caustic's gas canisters, one only needs to shoot at the bottom of a post in order to disable it. And if you're facing a particularly savvy enemy, they can shoot out the metal post in a long chain of posts in order to disable 2 segments at once. I found that no matter how clever I think I am, I just can't find a good position to place these posts that hide them so that people can't shoot them out. I just can't. And the third and probably most egregious issue with Wattson's perimeter defense is that it just doesn't stop enemies from going places. They don't do a lot of damage, so if you have an enemy that is full or near full health, the fences do very little to dissuade them from bull rushing the fence if they think they can take you down. And they don't slow enemies down very much either. If you run through an enemy fence segment, sure, it's a little annoying, but you're still very capable of putting up a fight. So my thoughts on the perimeter defense is that it's a nice way to put a glowing beacon on the map to let Everyone know there is a team hunkering down right here. And then we have the interception pylon. I think that this ability is good. I've had my squad's hide saved many times by dropping this at a key moment to gobble up a Gibraltar airstrike or a flurry of arc stars and grenades. The trophy system aspect of the pylon works really nicely. The shield charge, I mean, it's nice. It's not a bad ability to have. But the issue is that it charges so slowly that if you get jumped by a team while by your pylon, the charge is so slow that it's not liable to give you any kind of significant advantage in a close to mid-range fight. However, if your squad finds themselves in a distance plink and plunk fight, the pylon is nice to have because you can run behind cover, to get some free shield charge from a 15-point shot you took from some dickhead that no doubt is shooting a P-2020 at you from 200 meters out just to mess with you. And as far as I know, the pylons don't go away unless an enemy shoots it out. This is good because if you're wanting to cover a large area with the pylons, it's easy enough to find an accelerant, give it to Wattson, and lay down a perimeter that is protected from a vomit stream of grenades. With all that being said, do I think Wattson is a viable character at this point in time? Is Wattson a character you need to consider to give your team a competitive advantage? At this time, I'm unfortunately going to have to say no. I don't think she is. And I think the biggest knock with her at this point is her tactical, the fences. They just aren't very good. They're a clunky mess to lay down. They're really easy to shoot out. And when an enemy does manage to throw their body onto one, it doesn't slow them down much. It just isn't a good deterrent. I think the pylon is good. I don't think that tweaks need to be made there. But in order for her to be a character I'd want to consider in my lineup competitively, the fences need some tweaking. And just a couple of ideas I was ruminating on. I wonder if maybe the fences could cause a complete stun of the enemy character. Not long, maybe for a second or two, but freeze the character so they can't move or shoot, which means your squad could watch fence doors like a hawk for some bumbling idiot to run into it and then get a shot advantage because the enemy can't fire immediately. Or simply it just needs to do more damage. Either way, it needs to be tweaked slightly. I do appreciate that Respawn went the route of a defensive character. I was hoping with the new character we were going to get a support or defense just to balance out the amount of offensive characters currently in the meta. The issue with Wattson is that she is perhaps too defensive, which means you need to play a complete turtle strategy. And let me tell you, at least from my experience, hiding in the shell doesn't work in Apex. And why? Well, because when a team does inevitably stumble upon your fortress, these fights can take a while to resolve. And whether or not you emerge victorious, this gives the other teams plenty of time to swoop in and third, fourth, fifth, etc. party you. And again, Caustic is a nice comparison as a defensive character. Sure, you can turtle with him and gas up a structure for protection, but his ultimate is great for attack as well. And frankly, if you use Caustic enough, you can be offensive with his gas traps as well. Whereas with Wattson, I look at her as the only truly defensive character in the game. Her tactical and ultimate just don't work well for aggressive pushes. And the meta just doesn't support that at the moment. Nearly every game I've won in Apex has been on the back of an aggressive strategy, or at the very least, a mix of defense and offense in balance. But I just don't win games playing strict defense, and I don't think many other people do either. So this is the part in the video where I want to hear from you. Have you had a chance to play Wattson? What do you think of her? Is she someone you want in your roster, or do you think some changes are needed? Let me know in the comments down below. Keep things civil. And as always, I remind you to stay cynical. I'll see you in the next video.